Then C, explain two advantages of using private placement when issuing long-term debt. 4 marks. Advantages of using private placement when using long-term debt. When using long-term debt. Candidates, private placing can also be used when issuing equity. In this question is all about debt. Advantages, this is C, advantages of using private placing when issuing long-term debt. Long-term debt can be bonds, okay, debentures, and so on. So, and the question is specific to long-term debt. I've said the method can also be used when issuing equity or ordinary shares. So, before I give the advantages, I will define private placing. You are not required to define it, but I'll define it for the purposes of revision. Private placing is an offer made to limited number of private or institutional investors who do not require the protection of a registered prospectus. So I would want you to go and read more on private placing, especially for equity, okay, for equity, and public placing. So what the difference? You go and read more on this, get to know the difference between private placing and public placing. But private placing is an offer made to limited number of private or institutional investors who do not require the protection of registered prospectus. In your reading, you will discover that for you to do public placing, then you need to have a prospectus that has to be registered. There is a process in doing so. So what are the advantages of using private placing? Number one, advantage number one, private placing does not require public disclosures. Does not require public disclosures or regulatory approvals For you to issue shares for you to make public placing, then you have to get approval from the Capital Markets Authority. You need to get approvals, follow procedure as laid down by the national. If it's a public, a listed company, then you have to also get approvals from the Nairobi Stock Exchange and all that. But for private placing, disclosures and regulatory approvals are not necessary. Then number two, borrowers can say borrowers retain absolute control. Borrowers retain absolute control of the placement and can retain or maintain and can maintain a long-term relationship with the bond holders. If a company has issued bonds, remember we are talking about bonds, debt. The one who buys the bonds is a bond holder. The company that places the issue is a borrower. So there is a long-term relationship that can be maintained because the company will retain absolute control of the placement. Then related to these two, we have another point that we can add. This is in relation to cost. This method of raising capital is not as costly as raising capital using the public offers. So the method private placing, can say private placing is less expensive, and less expensive, we are comparing it to the public placing. So candidates were required to give 2 points. I've given 3.